Beer Christmas! Beer Christmas! Beer Christmas! Cheers! Cheers!
My face is copyrighted.
All right. Oh, David Lamb is here!
David
Yay!
Lamb. David
Beer
Lamb.
Christmas! Look at that! Look at all the happy faces! Let's go!
Good luck today.
Yes, good luck. I will need it. It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close, right?
It's
The
gonna
vote?
be tight.
Remember the vote? I'm gonna be stopping by.
Oh, I remembered. I've been building up for months on this one. I remember. Amen. Amen.
Everybody's so
Beer
happy, and they haven't even
Christmas!
had a beer yet.
Christmas!
Yes.
Hey,
Isn't
Merry
that great?
Christmas!
Yeah.
Hey, Big Christmas! Big Christmas! Big Christmas! Hey! Big Christmas! Big Christmas! Everybody else!
So yeah, Chris.
No,
Welcome to
no,
Great Taste Midwest recap show with the executive editor of Milwaukee Magazine, Chris Drosner, and editor-in-chief of Badger Beer Report, Chris.
Editor
Let's
at
start the Beer
large,
Baron.
Greg. You are the editor-in-chief. We just talked about this.
Wait, hold on. You are the executive editor of Milwaukee Magazine.
Yes,
and
I am.
Editor at large of Badger Beer Report.
There you go.
And
Yeah, yes.
the Wisconsin Beer Baron.
That's right. I mean, kind of
So
emeritus. Yeah,
all the titles, man, it's just a bit much. I just have to say.
it is. But it's a good time to be back on BBR and talking about the great taste of the Midwest. It's beer Christmas. Yes. Now it's like beer Boxing Day today. This is kind of like the day after beer Christmas. Yeah.
It's the day after for sure.
Yeah. We're feeling it. Greg's voice is a little rough. I'm dry. He asked me before the show, like, do you have a beer? And I'm like, oh dear, no. I have water today. Yes. Ice water today.
Well, Seth wants to know how you're feeling.
Oh, I'm feeling fine. Yeah. I mean, this is, we went to bed really early last night. I'll just put it that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple texts last night. Yo, you out? Yeah, out in my bed.
O-U-T period.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not that kind of out though. Y'all wild, still being out running around, but good time, stay safe, right?
That's right.
But usually, I usually retreat, Chris, like right after. It's usually just home. But yeah.
My group did go out for a burger and a beer at Mickey's Pub down on Willie Street after the fest. So nice to catch up with some folks who my friend Todd's wife, who couldn't make it to the fest, and but she hooked us up with a ride afterward, and good catching up with everybody and settling down and recapping and shooting the shit for a little bit longer. It was great.
Excellent. So we're here because we shouldn't expect a written column from you tomorrow, right? Like we used to be.
I'll probably be putting something together for the magazine. But yeah, no, the State Journal column is retired now, so I will not be having my thoughts in the State Journal anymore. So yeah.
But those thoughts are going to be contained here.
That's right.
Excellent. So let's get into it, Chris. What were your overall? Where do we begin with?
Yeah,
7 hours of madness.
I think you have to. I don't think you can start without a top line of like it's just such a great event. The MHTG just knows exactly what they're doing. The organizers of the Great Taste of the Midwest, they have done this for, oh my gosh, how many years is it now? 39. I got the program here handy. I got a few things that I'm going to mention. And there's no better run beer festival in the country, in my opinion, or certainly not any that I've been to. And that comes from doing a very, very large event like this for 39 times, and all the lessons learned, all the little institutional knowledge about how people behave when they're drinking beer and want to behave when they're drinking beer, and how to handle all the stuff. And so much of it is oriented toward taking care of the brewers and the brewer staff, which are really the stars of the show, and they are treated as such, and that keeps people wanting to come back year after year. So, and I mean, that's all kind of behind the scenes, but what it translates to, in my opinion, is a great experience. And I think that came through again this year. It was awesome weather, not a cloud in the sky. It was pretty hot, but not too hot. And there were a lot of cold beers. I was appreciative of the large number of a lot of the breweries had that canned hop water had cans available just for the taking, or some of them had it on draft, but I think I saw more that had just cans available, and they would just give you a can, and you could share that with a friend in the class or whatever. That's a great asset because it's hot, and obviously everybody's drinking water, but maybe not enough, and having something that's a little extra like that, I think helps kind of get through the day without being a complete pile today, and being safe, of course, yesterday as well. um I don't know. I mean, there's a lot, I've been to a lot of the great tastes, and for me, it's maybe a little bit different of an experience than like a somebody who doesn't go as often, or is there certainly there for the first time. But I love reconnecting with brewery folks that I haven't seen in a while, or that I have seen in a while that I saw 2 days ago. That's certainly part of it. But I live in Milwaukee now for almost 12 years now, and but I've been in Madison a lot, and I lived in Madison before that, and for a long time, and I have a lot of friends in Madison, and so it's nice to see to connect with. There's a very social element to it, completely outside of the beer thing. So. And that was really the way that I ran my Great Taste this year. I did use the app to kind of check check off the to-do list, but I think that was more organizing that and kind of getting focused and having a little bit of a plan for myself, more so than a resource that I looked at a lot during the festival, because you just kind of, at least I just kind of cut loose, and it's like, well, where are we, what do we want to hit in this area, and not really making a lot of leading decisions in that area, and more about reconnecting with groups that are floating in and out of orbit and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm not a I don't have a detailed to-do list that I'm going boom boom boom, I got to get this beer. I'm not really thinking about time tappings. I did make note of one time tapping this year, and that was the New Glarus Creek, which was just released at the brewery this weekend, and I think it's probably out or close to it already, sold out. So I did make sure to get to that one at 3:30 or whenever that one came out. Thanks to a reminder from my girlfriend Holly. Thanks, Holly, for reminding, keeping track of the time.
Coming in clutch. Yeah, coming in clutch.
But yeah, I mean, I think those are kind of my top line thoughts. One kind of like bigger picture thing that I felt like I noticed and have to mention here is I did think that the caliber of breweries is down a little bit again this year. And we talked about this last year with the new state law that was passed a couple of years ago. It was an entirely new regulatory regime for the state liquor or beer production and management and licensing and all that kind of stuff. And the big thing that affects the Great Taste is what's called the importers. I believe it's called the importers permit, which is something that the like say a brewery from Ohio or something that wants to come and sell at the Great Taste needs to have to be able to sell their beer in Wisconsin. And that's not really a big deal for a brewery that already sells their beer in Wisconsin. It's like $1,000 or something. And I think it's a 2-year permit. This is not, I don't have that number in front of me, but it's something in that area. So it's a significant expense if you're just coming for a single event, but it's not a huge deal if you're going to sell thousands of dollars worth of beer and you're distributing here on a regular basis and selling, kegs and 6-packs or whatever. but that is prohibitive for a brew pub in Ohio if they want to come to the Great Taste, and that's just a huge expense that they're probably not going to pay. And that was a big part of the breweries like that, the discovery of small breweries that are maybe not super hyped up, here in Wisconsin, and getting a chance to try, what comes down to, from a drinker's experience at the Great Taste, almost like a random little brewery from wherever, is
Mhm.
one of the real joys of the Great Taste. And that eroded further this year. You can kind of see it in, I think, in the number of rookies. And the Great Taste really likes to talk about their rookies. They give them their own page in the program, so it's very easy to track which breweries have not been to the Great Taste before. And last year there were 18 rookies. I just counted. This year there were 12, and only three of them were from out of state. And two of those out of state rookies already distribute here. One was M43, not M43, Old Nation, which their flagship hazy IPA is M43 from Michigan, and then Crafted, which is a meadery in Ohio. They were a rookie this year, and they already, they have distributed in Wisconsin. I believe they still do presently. So I guess credit to that one. I think it was another Michigan brewery that was new this year. Let me just grab that and call them out specifically. It is Odd Brothers Cider from Homer, Michigan. It's possible that they sell here too, but I don't get into the cider aisle a lot these days. Um, so that's kind of a concern. And I'll also add that three of the nine Wisconsin breweries are, like, new in the past year. Those They were, or year plus, I guess I'd say.
Vault
um
Mob. Mhm. And they were in a
yeah,
class of 25 collaboration. Yeah. Brood Omen,
yeah, exactly.
uh,
Brewed
Fond du
Omen,
Lac,
Vault, and
Fond du Lac Brewing.
Fond du Lac. Oh yeah, and Hoya Hapa. So I should say
Mhm.
four are
Mhm.
functionally in their
Do you
we're in their first year just last year.
do you
So
count Mobcraft?
well, Mobcraft, yeah, I guess, I mean, Mobcraft maybe, but they were technically not a rookie because they've been here. That name has been at the Great Taste for a long time. So, I mean, and I guess I also noticed that Pulpit Rock wasn't here this year. That feels like
Mhm.
um, a brewery that is a
Strong
Great
one.
Taste staple,
A strong
that
one. Yeah.
we really like to, they always have long lines. They were not here. Off Color was not here again this year, from Chicago. So those are the kind of breweries that are dropping out here. I don't, I mean, I have to say, I don't think my experience, or the overall beer experience, was really diminished all that much. I mean, you do have new breweries that are kind of in that vein, like Lua and Dimensional, that were back this year. So, some of them are, like, there is some replacement of that happening. But one of the breweries that I really enjoyed, I think it was last year, it might have been 2 years ago, was Field Day from they're from Iowa somewhere. They had just awesome Czech lagers, and I think they had three different Czech pilsners. It was just amazing. And all of them were just like like top notch, like as good as it gets.
Mm.
And they weren't here this year again. So I don't, like, there is the Great Taste has always been an embarrassment of riches in beer, and
That's a
that's not, like, less true. Like, it's
great
still
way to
more great beer than you can ever drink in 5 hours or even 6 hours like we have. But but that's I think it's a trend, and it's concerning. And if I were the MHTG, I'm sure they're keeping their eye on that, and they are concerned, and they are looking at ways to repair that. um the obvious thing is some kind of legislative fix, like a new type of permit, like a festival permit or something that allows 2 days of sales in the state, or something that's a much lower cost bar, and hopefully red tape in terms of the paperwork and all that stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where that's at. I wasn't able to talk to any of the folks who at the MHTG who were who have been working on that in the past like legislative session. There's going to be an entirely new assembly and a big half turnover in the Senate in January. So we'll see where that lands. I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, but again, I don't really see it changing the way that the actual experience goes for most people. I mean, certainly there's plenty of whales out there still. I mean, I remember walking up to the three Floyds tent, the tent that was off to the side, pouring the Dark Lord beers that they had, and this is one where they have two sides, and one is like their regular beers that usually don't have as much of a line, and then they kind of break off the line for the whales off to the side. And I just walked right up and got the marshmallow hanji. So it's like, okay, that's great. I love that. So that's a good thing. I know but there were long lines for like Assassin and KBBS why am I blanking? At Toppling Goliath. And that was, of course, every brewery has their whales, and there were a lot of long lines. I skipped the Hop Butcher line. I skipped Hop Butcher this year because the line was too long. I mean, they had kind of some other beers in the front, and then they had their IPAs off to the one side, and there were a lot of people in line for those IPAs. So, which is not really a big deal, But if you have a beer, like the strategy for line management at the Great Taste is to get a beer and then go get in line, and then you have your beer, and you're sitting there drinking your beer while the line works through, and then by the time you get up to the top of the line, you're ready for another beer. So it's perfect. But right at that time, I was like, my glass is empty. I want a beer right now. I'm not going to, wait there. So, yeah, I think those are kind of my top line thoughts. There's some, it's not all roses in the assessment this year. But I think it's more longer term concern rather than like, it is. I mean, is it worth the $75 ticket? Of course it is. It's amazing. Like that's something to mention too. Like this is still a great value in terms of the um the experience and the whole day and everything. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. The ebb and flow though of the Great Taste and the different variables that change every year, while so much shit stays the same. If
Mm-hmm.
you've been to this festival a bunch of years, you can really start to feel those small tweaks. You would, I don't feel you feel them. You know what I mean? 1 or 2 years in, but having a resume of a bunch of years, even the COVID years, first, that whole thing, it definitely gives you a perspective into it. You personally, that I don't think many people have, given your consistency of going and reporting and just observing everything at the Great
Mm-hmm.
Taste.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a brewery count this year, but or to be honest, I didn't do reporting around the Great Taste this year. This is just my experience.
Mhm.
And normally I would know exactly how many breweries are there, or
I
in
got that
previous
number.
years. How many? What do you have?
174, 175.
174. Okay, so that is not like less than previous years or substantially less. So and it didn't feel like that at all. It did feel a little bit like there were some breweries that in a lot of years wouldn't be there. And I think that's part, and most of them are Wisconsin breweries. Because because Wisconsin breweries don't need to have the importer's permit, so it's basically free for them to come here and
Mm-hmm.
well, it's not free. It's they still have to do lodging and all that stuff for their team that's coming down, and it the time that it takes all that to do. But there's no additional cost to Wisconsin breweries, so that's why I think we're seeing more Wisconsin breweries, which is good. But the name of the event is the Great Taste of the Midwest, and that has been an important ethos throughout throughout the life of the event, and MHTG knows that, and they're working on it.
Oh, they know it, because I can tell y'all that I've been part of. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm part. I would say I'm part of the push to get the more Wisconsin breweries. Given what Badger Beer Report does with the the new breweries, but also, yeah, part of that push. But Chris is right. I can attest to you that they are as concerned about the Midwest as they are Wisconsin. But since the legislative is acting the way they are, we have to even double down on our home state as far as making bringing in breweries at the expense, unfortunately, of the wonderful small hole in the wall breweries that we won't be able to see from Iowa or rural
Mhm.
Illinois, rural Indiana that we've come to love, right? Because these margins are not only tightening, Chris. Otherwise, then then you want us to spend this amount of month, to go on the road 12 hours away, and so yeah.
Yeah, it's tough out there for small breweries generally. So yeah, it's that kind of cost plus that kind of time and like the cost to come here is really significant. And the Great Taste does buy the kegs, they buy all that beer,
I, yeah,
but that
and
it's not that's not why breweries do this. They do it for their staff and for themselves and for the kind of exposure to the most engaged beer drinkers in the region, and that's what it's about.
And one more note before we move on about the MHCG. They are, and Chris, but I just wanted to make it known so everybody hears it.
Yep.
We are engaged almost at every level, whether it's legislative or on the ground level of calling these breweries or them contacting me and say, hey, Brewed Omen, hey, Fond du Lac Brewing Company, hey, Mopcraft, can we, can you get them in or and and I was active with like, hey, are y'all, Vault 202 and Fonda, like, are y'all in? What's going on? Y'all know about it? Y'all have your things in? So there's this multi levels that this is being worked on. I just wanted to make a point.
For sure. And like, I guess I wanted to underscore another point too, that MHEG is entirely volunteers, from the president of the Great Taste, Jason, all the way down to the schlepper. Not, I don't want to say down, because these are longtime volunteers, but the guys schlepping ice and kegs and everything, like it is entirely volunteer run, and it is by far the most professional and tightest ship that I've ever seen in a beer festival. So
No,
yeah, hats off to them as always.
editorial note real quick. The president is Lee Jones now, and the Great
Oh,
Taste chairman is Doug Randall.
Doug. Okay, got it.
There you go.
I got my contacts are out of date.
Well, that's why I'm here.
That's right. Good. Very good.
It's all good. So Chris, now we get to the
Let's get to the fun stuff.
unintended
Yeah.
juicy part, right?
Yes, that's right.
Juicy part, right? Okay. Time to talk beers, y'all. Time to talk beers.
Yeah, so I already mentioned one that I wanted to talk about, the New Glarus Creek, which I don't know if I've ever heard exactly what New Glarus doesn't really disclose their ABVs often, particularly of their the lambics and the kind of their wild sour program, um, and I heard that this creek was like 9% ABV or something like that, from somebody within the brewery. And so I was like, whoa, wait a second. And so I was like, okay, I got to try this. I had heard really good things about it beforehand, and it was very good. It's a punch of wild and kind of bready cherry barrel. It was really tasty. I think you guys know what to expect from a creek. It was basically a cherry lambic style. New Glarus does not call their beers lambics, but that's kind of what they are. Let's see my list. Working Draft had I love wild rice beers, and Working Draft had a it's called Jacuzzi Nights. It's a wild rice Grand Cru, which is it was kind of a Belgian blonde take on a wild rice beer. And that Clint kind of was, I believe he said it was inspired by his time with, it doesn't say that in the beer description, but it was he developed an interest in working with wild rice when he was with at Wisconsin Brewing, which is where he was before he came on and started Working Draft. working with Kirby Nelson, who did the Manuminator beer, Wild Rice Doppelbock at Capitol, which was like one of my all-time favorite beers. I think Wild Rice works best when it's in a big beer, and this one was big. I think it was 8%, something like that. IBU
Big old lager.
30? No, wait, where am I here? Jacuzzi Nights, IBU. Oh, ABV 9%. Yeah. So it's a big Belgian ale. Just really good stuff. Don't need to really say a whole lot about this, but I wanted to mention Second Shift's Czech Pilsner. Technical Ecstasy, a perfectly named beer, as Second Shift often does. Just like one of those mid-fest, like just crisp, clean palate cleanser, strong enough to hold up to your disastrous palate in the middle of the great taste, but light, and it's just a beautiful beer. I got to shout out the BBR collab, the Sunshine Brewing Stout Blooded American, which was one of the homebrew scale up. You can describe this a little bit better than I can, but it was just a really nice, clean, straightforward American stout, and it just, like, I don't know. I'm all here for weird adjuncts and all that stuff, especially at the Great Taste, but hey, give me a nice straightforward, what was the ABV on that, like 6.2 or something like that, nice straightforward American stout, bomb, really good beer. And speaking of, okay, so I have not been to Fond du Lac Beer Company yet, so I was definitely going to stop by there, and I saw a beer there that I did not. I was like, and I've heard good, you guys have said good things about the beer there and the experience and everything. And I was like, okay, not that I don't believe you. I was not in disbelief, but I want to see what they had. And they had a beer called Epistemal. This one I'm going to read because it's a long one. Epistemal Uncertainty in the Realm of Perceptual Hoppiness, which is a DDH IPA with Nelson Sauvin and Nectaron hops. And I said, okay, if you can do that beer well, and you're also kind of, most of your beers are kind of more in the traditional kind of dad beer lane, you have my attention. And boy, did they ever have my attention. I thought it was literally one of the best beers I had yesterday. And it was the way that those hops work together, and particularly in this beer, it had a little bit of bitterness, but that Nelson, that kind of grapey, white wine, lemongrass kind of aspect of Nelson, with that, nectarine kind of hop, like more stone fruit, kind of a little bit. And that's not, I mean, obviously hops aren't sweet, but like that indication of like, soft fruit sweetness. It was gorgeous. Like, both brought their own expression, and just, like exactly what I'm looking for in a hazy IPA. It was awesome. So hats off to them, which I actually told them. I got the beer and I left, and I had my first sip. I was like, or my first smell, I was like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And then I had my first sip, and I went back. I'm like, this is awesome. Thanks. And they didn't know who I am. I don't care. They don't care, but that's fine. Okay. The last two things that I wanted to talk about, Greg, are the two most fun things that I had at the fest. Last year, this is kind of in the yes, yeah, there was kind of a lot of Brett. We had a couple, there was some, like, Brett kind of has always been at the taste and in the realm, but I felt like there were more beers like Brett. Like, a Brett Saison is a good example. There were also a couple Brett IPAs that I saw, at least in the list. I didn't actually end up having any, but very cool seeing that coming back as a flavor profile that's kind of standing on its own within a style. But I think about, like, last year, Greg, there were at Cunhen had the it was like a sparkling sake with boba, in it, the little bubble tea things.
Yeah.
And like I know that they had that again this year, which was cool because
Mhm.
it was so much fun. That was like, I don't know if it was my first pour of the fest, but it was down in there in the 700 area where they were again this year. And that's
Mhm.
the area where we come in for media. And I was like, oh, I gotta get myself one of those because that's fun. And it was silly and stupid and delicious, and but it was fun. And that's what we're talking about here. So um I'm gonna talk about Venture, my friends at Venture, and they I actually participated in this at last year's Wisconsin IPA Fest. I poured for them, for with Rob and Simon, which is one of the most fun times I've ever had around beer. Those guys are so much
Yeah.
fun, and they're like carnival barking because the Wisconsin IPA Fest has a fan favorite as part of the, they have like a technical judging thing, and then they also have a fan favorite, so people can vote for their favorite beers, and they are working that angle hard. They are saying, "You, sir, come over here, have a beer," and telling preposterous stories and all this stuff. So they are having a good time at their fest. Last year, at last year's IPA Fest, they had a it's a Venture. So Venture is, of course, a coffee roaster too, and cafe. And they had some of their coffee. There they are. Oh, that's Simon and Doug. Yeah. And they had a a spray bottle of their coffee blended with like a little wash basically for your glass of coffee and bourbon. And this was
Mhm.
intended to be with the Night Crew, their fantastic, very rich barrel aged stout. Really good beer, beautiful beer on its own. It's like revved up when you get this little spritz in there, and that is so much fun. And it's something that's really easy to do at a beer festival. And I don't know why folks don't do this, but um,
Mhm.
it was so good. It's so good, and that's the kind. And then I'm like, okay, so I've had this with the Night Crew last year. I don't know if they were doing it at the Great Taste. I suspect they probably were, but I'm gonna call it out this year because it's just one of my favorite things. But they had this. They had a blueberry vanilla Bruv, which is their Berliner inspired kind of series of fruited Berliners and all kinds of. They do all kinds of stuff with those. Last year they had a margarita version of it. Was it margarita? Yeah, margarita um, version of Bruv. This year it was blueberry vanilla, and I said, let's do the wash on that. And it was, Greg, it was so. I mean, like, think about blueberry vanilla, coffee, bourbon. You got your dark fruit kind of berry notes going on. It was awesome. It was awesome. So shout out to Venture for having fun. And I don't know, I feel like anybody who is at the taste this year is going to know exactly what I'm going to talk about next, because it was so much fun. And they did this theme. It was a theme thing, and it was. I'm going to talk about Three Sheeps and their ice cream parlor theme, which they had. Everybody was in there like old school, with like the white paper hats and the red and white striped aprons and stuff. And Grant was there, and he had his little curly mustache, and he was rocking almost, I think all the staff was wearing this thing. And that was because they were doing beer floats. They had chocolate shop vanilla ice cream that they were scooping into little plastic cups with a little plastic spoon, and
Mm.
giving out. And they had two of their sodas. They had an orange soda, and I think a probably a root beer, I guess. Was that the other one? I don't remember what that, because I don't really remember that, because that's not what I did. I did the beer one, and I actually got the cherry. It was a cherry Wisconsinitis one, which is pretty. I mean, it's ice cream and it's good, but that beer was too mild for the ice cream. The one that was the bomb, the total bomb, was the Wolf. They had their Wolf Imperial Stout, which is a big daddy. It's like 12 and a half or something. It's really big. And they had that with vanilla ice cream, and it was perfect, Greg. It was so good. And the reason I saved this one for last is because, folks, you can do this at home. You don't have to go to the great, like all those other things that I'm talking about were like, like if you weren't there. I mean, you can technical ecstasy, maybe you can get at at a bottle shop that carries second shift, but um you can do this at home. Go get a 4-pack of Wolf, grab yourself some good chocolate ice cream or some vanilla ice cream. I guess you could do a Black Cow with the Wolf, but yeah, I am gonna be doing this with all my big stouts from here on out because it's just so good. The you know, that creaminess, you get your vanilla, you get the beer's already bringing some vanilla aspects, so it kind of amplifies all this. It's just so good. I can't recommend it enough.
Just straight Wolf.
Yeah. No, I mean you
Okay.
could work with the variants and stuff for sure.
Because just straight Wolf in the wild is kind of rare actually, because it's usually variant heavy that way.
But that's out there in 4-pack. I saw a 4-pack at I think it was at Woodman's a couple weeks ago, and they had it as a 4-pack still. So I think they still have it at the brewery if you want to swing by Sheboygan and grab it. But yeah,
Okay,
it was so good. Just a little, like, I don't know, I think it was probably like a normal festival size pour with a little kind of half scoop of ice cream in this little cup. So
What?
mix your proportions, your ratios,
Yeah.
how you see fit. But man, it was so good.
Yo, what happened to traditional beer loving Chris Drosner?
Yeah, right. Well, I can tell you, I didn't have any milkshake IPAs yesterday. That's
Oh, okay.
But,
There's a line
at
that
a
you're not going to
festival,
cross.
yeah. I'll make my own milkshake, literally. But yeah, I don't want to brewed with vanilla in there. That's good. Great point. Just on that note, one of my big disappointments yesterday was, I love Unane's beers, and I really like I mean, Hubbard's Cave and Unane are kind of the same brewery, as you know, from where are they, Skokie, or one of the northern Chicago burbs. And I really dig their wild fermented beers, and they had three different vintages of one of their wild, like I don't know, like some kind of like Grand Cru type, like a lambic style beer that was aged with different fruits and stuff. And they were also, all three of them were aged with vanilla beans. And I was like, I don't know about this, but I kind of want to try it. And I was hoping that it would be good. And it was exactly what I was worried about. It was super vanilla-y, and it lost so much of the funky depths of the, and and they had, is this, I was talking about this with another beer person, and I forget who, maybe a brewer even, and they were like, well, maybe they were just dosing it to like cover up something. And I said, no, because there was a 2023 bottle, a 2024 bottle, 2025 bottles, all of them had different fruits, and all of them had vanilla. And so that's like a choice that they're making. And I mean, I guess that's almost like the Hubbard's Cave version. They use vanilla in they do a lot of pastry stuff. And but I don't know, pastry, traditional, not where I want to go. So hate to end on a down note, but that was,
well,
but hey,
maybe not here. Let's
just throw the ice cream in it. That's cool.
That's cool. The 24 Tap Room says amazing as usual. Way too much beer to sample. Good food, music everywhere on the lake. I mean, yes to everything there. Right.
That's really the thing, is like all of those things just feed into how great the experience is. I mean, it's like, I don't know, if you're a sports fan, like watching a game at home alone is like one thing. Watching a game with other fans that are cheering at a bar or at the game, obviously in the stadium, is of course it's just a different thing. And that's kind of what this is for beer. Like you're all kind of in that kind of communal aspect. There's the social stuff. I talked to 5 people I didn't know, and just pick their brains about beer for a little bit. And I'm always asking, like, what are you having, what's your favorite thing, to kind of get the recon on that. And almost everybody said the ice cream float thing. And I'm like, and that was like one of the first things I had before I think I had that right around 1 o'clock, right when the regular gates open. So yeah, little behind the scenes media tickets, we get to go in a little bit early, and because we get to talk to the brewers then, and sample all the things. And trust me, we are not bleeding any taps dry for y'all. Everything's still there when the horn sounds. But yeah, it's a pretty special thing. And yeah, that really captures it. All of the things, the setting, the time of year, like it seems like the weather's pretty much almost good. You know, you're with all these fellow beer lovers who are just going on and on about the same way that I have been for probably too long now. But you know, it's a fantastic experience. And if you haven't been, next year, I will say that I feel like tickets are getting a little bit easier to get every year. So you know, on the secondary market. So which is, of course, don't just remember this, don't pay extra. The culture around the secondary market of Great Taste tickets is face value. So that's another cool thing. Thank you beers are always welcome. So do that instead.
And it's a different little angle for those of us who are very industry adjacent. But I feel it's the same way as far as the analogy of the Great Taste being a family reunion.
Yeah.
Where you see, you see those beer drinkers that you haven't seen for a year. Some of them have been beer drinkers where you've seen them, or you've been in clubs, or you know what I mean, like different things, and you just don't see them anymore. But you're going to see them at the Great Taste or have a good shot.
You
Now,
sure do.
with that
Yep.
being said, there are always a handful of people that are there that you didn't see. So it's always this mixed bag, and there are places that you never see. I was telling you, Chris, and pregame, I didn't. Listen, y'all know what I think of Vault. If anybody follows Badger Beer Report, you know I'm a big, huge fan. I didn't see either them or their booth, Chris. I don't remember putting my eyes on their booth. Now, I went to every tent. I was looking for people in every tent, trying to talk to people, and I missed Vault. So, like, that shows you the level of the level of the big nature of this. So much happening in a small footprint.
Yeah. And especially
So
if
much
you don't
happening.
if you don't have like that kind of like really type A, like work out a schedule and a plan and stuff, which
Yeah.
is not how I roll with the Great Taste. And
Right.
I'm with I'm with my different groups, and I'm trying to meet up with people again, and reconnect during that 5 hours, and everybody's drinking and not everybody's on their phone,
Moving around.
so it gets a little squirrely sometimes. And like I was trying to get to all three of the BBR collab locations, and I didn't do that. So that's kind of like collateral
Right.
damage, I
Right.
guess, from that
Right.
kind of social and more spontaneous kind of approach. But
Right.
there'll be more collabs next year, I bet.
Oh,
Maybe.
probably. You missed the Laminaire. You would have loved that, right? You missed the Laminaire at Inventors, right? Is that the one you missed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I did miss that.
Yeah, yeah. That one, it's still hanging out there, but I don't know. But yeah, that was a fun one. But yeah, Chris. So overall, the beat rolls on with this one, right?
As good as it ever was. Yes, absolutely.
All right, Chris. Any final words, and we'll get out of here. This is great. We will see maybe a piece out of you for this coming up here, or
I am gonna do my best to write something up tonight. Yep, for the magazine. Okay. I gotta figure out. One of my. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there. Okay. Yeah.
We'll find and you'll find So my Friday stream with Doug as showed. We will be doing a recap of the Great Taste.
Yeah.
There's
rumors. Great seeing Doug. Yeah.
There's rumors. Yeah, there's rumors of Joel wanting to do one on Tuesday. We'll see about that. Okay. I will drop at least one blog post this week. We'll probably show up on TikTok talking about it. So our coverage has just begun of the Great Taste of the Midwest, y'all. Look for it all this week. One comment here. Oh, what's that? Oh, is this that pour-on glass thing that I did? Do you see that?
Oh, Chris? Yeah. The little, so it's like a bulb with a spout, and the little tiny spout that go whoop.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what and why, but I did good. So
Brad, my friend Brad from North Pillar was they were in the like 700 tent, and I stopped down to see them on the way up to the main festival, and he had their sangria sour, which was really good. it's their Time series is North Pillar's kettle sour series, and the sangria one was really good. Like that's not like one of the things I do at the Great Taste is I always try to like try different things that I normally wouldn't. I had 2 smoked beers from probably the 2 best breweries to do smoked beers. Like I call it taking my annual medicine, because I don't really like smoked beers, but I want to make sure that I don't, and try them every year, from Dovetail and Working Draft, and they both had at least one each this year.
Good call.
But
Good
like a
call.
sangria sour is not something I'm probably never going to order, even in a flight at a brewery. Maybe in a
Mm-hmm.
flight,
Mm-hmm.
but at the Great Taste, especially getting started, and I've had a few of North Pillar's other beers, so yeah, let's hit that. And it was great. But he had it in the little Pouron thing, and he's like, "You want it in this?" And I'm like, it was like literally my first beer. I'm like, I don't think I've had enough beers for that yet. Just give me a
Right.
glass, please. Yes. Let's
Right.
go with that.
Right.
Let's go with
Right.
that.
Yeah, I got peer pressure to do Nerdy's Borco bomb pop in that, and it was good. And I actually did it better than Nerdy did. So at least
Oh, there you go.
we won that. We
Mm-hmm.
this is a long term thing, y'all. So no
That's
worries.
important. Awesome.
And we'll have more comment on that coming up this week on all of our collaboration beers too. So Chris, I will give you the final word here.
I just want to say thanks for. I just want to
okay.
say thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.